Easy English conversations.
Simple English. Real conversations.
Hey, English learners! Welcome back to the Easy English Conversations channel, your cozy place to learn easy English through real-life conversations. I'm Alex.
And I'm Emma.
I hope, wherever you are right now, you've got a quiet moment. Maybe you're holding a cup of coffee. Maybe you're on a walk. Maybe it's late and your brain is louder than the room.
That's such a specific feeling. The loud brain in a quiet room.
You know exactly what I mean, right? It's early morning, your body is still sleepy, but your mind is already listing everything you should be doing. All the goals, all the plans, the big future.
Yeah. The I'm going to change my life energy at 6:30 a.m. when you haven't even brushed your teeth yet.
Exactly. And then 2 hours later, you're scrolling on your phone, avoiding the very thing you were so excited about.
That gap is painful.
It is. And I think that gap, that space between huge ambition and very small action, that's what we're sitting with today.
The feeling of being ambitious, but somehow lazy at the same time.
That phrase hits hard.
It does, because lazy feels like a judgment. But a lot of people listening right now probably know this experience. You have big dreams. You want to start a business, learn English fluently, get fit, write a book, change careers. But when it's time to actually begin, your brain hesitates.
Or it runs away.
Or it suddenly becomes very interested in cleaning the kitchen.
Or checking email. Or organizing your desktop files.
Fake productive work.
Yeah, busy but not moving forward.
So let's start with something simple. Why does this happen? Why can someone be full of ambition and still struggle to act?
I think one of the biggest reasons is that the brain hates big effort. It just does.
It's true.
Your brain is designed to save energy. If it sees something that looks like a marathon, it's going to protect you. It's going to say, this is too much. Let's stay safe. Let's stay comfortable.
And the problem is, most of our goals look like marathons.
Exactly. Learn a new language. Build a business. Lose 20 pounds. Those aren't tasks. They're mountains.
And when the brain sees a mountain, it doesn't see step one. It sees the entire climb, the cold, the risk, the exhaustion.
And it feels fear.
Yes, that quiet hesitation, that heavy feeling in your chest.
I love that word hesitant, because it's softer than lazy.
It's more accurate, too. Hesitant means you're not refusing. You're just unsure, a little scared.
So instead of calling yourself lazy, maybe the more honest description is, your brain feels overwhelmed.
Or tempted.
Tempted by comfort.
Exactly. And tempted is another useful word here. To be tempted means you're attracted to something easier or more pleasurable, like your phone, or snacks, or Netflix.
So you're not weak. You're tempted.
And your brain is impulsive.
Impulsive. Good word.
Yeah. If you're impulsive, you act quickly based on feelings, not long-term thinking. So your future self wants to write a book, but your current self wants chocolate.
Immediate reward always wins.
Unless we understand what's happening.
So let's slow this down. You wake up. You think, today I'm going to start my big project. You feel excited. That's the loud brain.
Big energy.
But your body still feels sleepy. And then your brain starts calculating the effort. How long will this take? What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough?
What if it's bad?
What if it's bad?
That fear of the marathon kicks in, even if the first step is tiny.
And here's something interesting. The brain doesn't just hate effort. It also hates uncertainty.
Which is why scrolling feels safe. You already know how to do it. There's no risk.
If you're starting something new, there are no guarantees. You don't know how it will turn out. So your brain says, better to stay with what we know.
I think the first shift is this: stop planning like you're about to run a marathon.
So the question becomes, how do we work with the brain instead of fighting it?
A lot of people write to-do lists that look like punishment: 20 heavy tasks, no clear starting point. It feels like you're signing a contract with suffering.
Explain that.
So instead of writing a to-do list, I like to call it a small success story.
That's intense, but accurate.
Because a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It feels human, manageable.
I love that phrase.
Let's say you want to study English. Instead of writing, study English for 2 hours, review grammar, learn 30 new words, practice speaking.
So what does that look like practically?
Exactly. Instead, imagine a normal kind of day. Not a perfect day, just a realistic one. And you write, I read 1 short article. I learned 5 new words. I said 3 sentences out loud.
That already sounds exhausting.
It feels like something you could actually finish.
That feels doable.
It really does. Because when you finish something, even small, your brain feels proud.
And finishing matters.
Yeah. And I don't mean big pride. I mean quiet satisfaction. Like, I did what I said I would do.
That's such an underrated word, proud.
Exactly. And that trust reduces hesitation next time.
That builds trust with yourself.
Yes. And here's a trick I love. Write your plan in past tense.
So, instead of trying to motivate yourself with a huge vision, you motivate yourself with small wins.
Because it feels like it already happened. For example, today I studied for 15 minutes. I wrote 1 messy paragraph. I practiced speaking even though it felt awkward.
That's interesting. Why past tense?
Exactly, and it shifts your brain from, oh no, I have to do this, to this is the story I'm about to live.
So, you're imagining a future memory.
It removes some of the pressure. And we need to talk about pressure.
That's powerful. It's subtle, but powerful.
Because perfectionism is another huge reason people feel stuck. They don't just want to start. They want to start well.
Let's.
Yes, and that's where the brain freezes.
They want the first attempt to be impressive.
Exactly. So the brain thinks, better not start than prove we're not good.
Because if it's not impressive, what does that mean about you?
It is, but it's common. So one of the most helpful ideas I've ever practiced is this: be bad on purpose.
That's brutal.
It kind of is. If you give yourself permission to write a terrible first draft, to speak broken English, to record a messy video, the fear reduces.
That sounds rebellious.
Yes, you're teaching your brain to be brave.
Because the goal isn't perfection. The goal is movement.
Right? Discipline feels cold. Brave feels human.
Brave is such a better word than disciplined.
And bravery doesn't mean jumping off a cliff. It can mean acting 1% like your future self.
So instead of saying, I need more discipline, maybe the truth is, I need to be a little braver.
If your future self is confident, focused, consistent, what would 1% of that look like today?
1%. I love that.
Maybe setting a 10-minute timer.
Maybe opening the document.
Yeah, that's another strategy I use all the time, a speed round.
Just 10 minutes.
Exactly. You tell your brain, we're not doing this forever, just 10 minutes. Suddenly, it doesn't feel like a marathon, it feels like a short sprint.
Like a game.
Because starting is the hardest part.
And most of the time, once you start, you keep going.
That shift alone changes everything.
So maybe the promise isn't "I'll finish." It's "I'll start."
Please.
But let me push back a little.
That's fair.
What about people who start and then quit after 3 days? They try the small steps, they try the timer, and then they lose momentum.
I think that's where environment comes in.
Because sometimes it's not just about starting, it's about sustaining.
Yeah. If your environment constantly tempts you, your impulsive brain will win. Every time.
Environment?
No. Willpower is limited. If your phone is next to you, if your bed is calling your name, if there's noise everywhere, it's harder.
So we can't rely only on willpower.
Exactly. Move to a different table. Put your phone in another room. Add background music that signals focus time.
So you change the room.
Yes, you're creating a space where real work feels natural and distractions feel slightly inconvenient.
Almost like training your brain with cues.
And it's practical. It's not about becoming a different person overnight. It's about adjusting the conditions around you.
That's such a simple but powerful shift.
What is my brain trying to avoid?
So maybe the real question isn't, why am I so lazy? Maybe it's,
Exactly.
and how can I make that first step feel smaller, safer, and maybe even a little fun?
Maybe we just need to translate it into something the brain isn't afraid of. Honestly, a few months ago, I had this big idea for a course I wanted to create. I was so excited about it. I could see the whole thing in my head, modules, lessons, even the name. It felt clear. And then I opened my laptop to outline it, and I just stared at the screen.
Because if ambition is loud and the body is sleepy, maybe we don't need to silence the ambition.
Completely. And my brain immediately went, this is going to take forever. It felt like building a cathedral with a spoon.
So let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt that gap? That space between big dream and zero action? And what did you actually do about it? Blank document energy.
It felt dramatic.
That's dramatic.
No, I cleaned my inbox.
So what did you do? Did you push through it?
And I told myself it was productive. That's the dangerous part. It looked like work, but it wasn't the real work.
Of course you did.
Yes, noise is everything that feels busy but doesn't move the main goal forward.
That's such an important distinction, real work versus noise.
Reformatting your notes 5 times. Researching for 3 hours when you only needed 30 minutes. Watching productivity videos instead of actually working.
Give me examples.
It does. Because you feel like you're doing something. But you're avoiding the discomfort of the main task.
That one hurts.
I started asking one simple question. Is this the thing that matters most right now?
So how do you catch yourself in that moment?
If the answer is no, I stop, even if the alternative feels harder.
That's sharp.
It does, and it takes awareness. A lot of us are impulsive in subtle ways. We don't notice when we switch tabs. We don't notice when we grab our phone just for a second.
That takes honesty.
Exactly. If you're uncomfortable, your brain wants relief. Immediately.
And impulsive doesn't mean chaotic. It just means driven by the present feeling.
Yes. I'm glad you said that, because sometimes we're not lazy, we're just tired.
So maybe managing ambition isn't about increasing motivation. It's about managing energy.
Huge. If you didn't sleep well, if you've been emotionally stressed, if your schedule is packed, of course, your brain resists a big creative task.
That's a big difference.
Or you adjust the timing. Maybe deep work doesn't happen at 9 p.m. for you. Maybe it's 7 a.m.
So instead of judging yourself, you adjust the size of the task.
It does. And being realistic. A lot of ambitious people imagine their ideal self as someone who can focus perfectly, anytime, anywhere.
That requires knowing yourself.
Yes. But real progress comes from understanding your natural rhythms.
The superhuman version.
First, reduce the scope. Instead of, I'm going to completely transform my routine, try, I'm going to do one meaningful task today.
So let's say someone listening right now feels constantly drained. They want to change their life, but every day they feel low energy. What would you suggest?
Yes, that's the 3 boxes method I like to use.
Just one.
You divide your day into 3 categories. One main task, one small supportive task, and one personal task.
Explain that.
Main task, write 500 words. Supportive task, answer important emails. Personal task, go for a 5-minute walk.
So, for example,
It prevents burnout. And it stops the endless to-do list that makes your brain shut down.
that feels balanced.
Exactly. And here's something else. Celebrate small completions.
Because when everything is important, nothing feels manageable.
They do. They finish something and immediately move to the next thing. No pause, no acknowledgement.
That sounds simple, but most people skip that step.
Yes. And pride is fuel. If you never let yourself feel it, your brain doesn't associate work with reward.
No pride.
That's the goal. Work doesn't have to equal suffering. It can equal progress. Even joy.
So you're rewiring the association.
Maybe, but at least satisfaction.
Joy might be too strong for some people.
And here's something I struggled with personally. I used to think if I didn't feel excited, I shouldn't start.
I like that better.
But excitement is unreliable. It comes and goes. If you wait for the perfect mood, you'll be waiting forever.
That's common.
Can I act even if I don't feel ready?
So the better question is,
It is. But that's where growth lives. Not in huge leaps, just in tiny acts done on ordinary days.
that's uncomfortable.
Completely. We imagine transformation happens in dramatic moments, but it's usually in quiet mornings. Small decisions,
I think people underestimate ordinary days.
like opening the document.
Like opening the document.
Oh, yes.
I want to talk about something else you mentioned earlier, the idea of open loops.
Yes. If your goal is unclear, your brain can't figure out the first move.
Because sometimes the reason we avoid starting is that the task feels vague.
Exactly. An open loop is something unfinished in your mind. It creates low-level stress. But if it's too big, your brain doesn't know where to begin.
So it stalls.
Make the first action ridiculously clear. Not work on project, but write the introduction paragraph. Not get healthy, but put on running shoes.
So how do you close the loop enough to start?
It does, because the brain can handle concrete actions better than abstract goals.
That specificity reduces fear.
Yes, and the less energy your brain thinks it needs, the less resistance you feel.
So clarity is energy saving.
Exactly. So you shrink the effort, you remove fake busy work, you manage your energy, and you allow yourself to be imperfect.
That connects back to our first point. The brain hates big effort.
But small adjustments are sustainable. Radical change often isn't.
That's a lot of small adjustments.
Okay.
Let me ask something a little deeper.
What do you mean?
Do you think sometimes we hide behind ambition?
That's honest.
Like, we talk about big dreams all the time. We imagine the future version of ourselves. But we don't actually want to face the uncomfortable present.
I think that's true sometimes. Ambition can become a fantasy instead of a direction.
Because dreaming feels good. It's safe. No risk.
By acting even in small ways. Action turns fantasy into reality. Without action, ambition is just imagination.
So, how do we make sure it's a direction?
No, but it can inspire. The key is not staying there too long.
And imagination alone doesn't build anything.
I like that. Hesitant and tempted, but still choosing one small step.
So maybe the shift isn't from lazy to productive. Maybe it's from hesitant to brave.
For today, yes.
And maybe that's enough.
That's the question.
So if someone feels stuck right now, impulsive, distracted, overwhelmed, what's the smallest brave action they could take in the next 10 minutes?
Maybe it's just beginning.
And maybe the answer isn't dramatic. Maybe it's simple.
Stubborn can be good or bad.
You know, as we've been talking, I keep thinking about this phrase that comes up a lot when people describe themselves. I'm just stubborn.
Like insisting. This is just who I am. I'm lazy.
Exactly. If you're stubborn, you don't change your mind easily. You hold on. That can mean persistence, or it can mean you keep repeating the same unhelpful pattern.
But there's another version. The stubbornness that says, even if I'm hesitant, I'm not giving up on myself.
Right. That kind of stubbornness keeps you stuck.
It is, because when you shift from labeling yourself to observing yourself, everything changes.
That's powerful.
Yes. Instead of saying, I'm lazy, you say, I notice I feel tempted to avoid this. Or, I notice I'm hesitant.
Observing instead of judging.
It does, and space gives you choice.
That language creates space.
Because when you're impulsive, there's no space. It's just feeling action. But if you pause for even 5 seconds, you can figure out what's happening.
I love that. Space gives you choice.
Yeah. To figure out means to understand something after thinking about it. So you figure out why you're avoiding the task. Are you tired, afraid, confused,
Figure out is a good phrase.
or distracted? And once you figure it out, you can respond intentionally instead of automatically.
Or distracted.
It's practice. I still mess this up all the time.
That's maturity.
But I've learned something important about the future self idea we mentioned earlier.
Same.
Yes. A lot of people imagine their future self as this perfect, disciplined, never tired superhero.
Acting 1% like your future self.
Completely. A healthier version is this. Your future self still feels hesitant sometimes, still gets tempted, still has low energy days.
Unrealistic.
Exactly. They don't make it mean something dramatic. They don't say, oh no, I skipped one day, I'm a failure.
But they don't panic about it.
Yes. They focus on the long run.
They zoom out.
That's why I always ask myself, if I continue like this for a year, what will happen?
That's huge. Because in the short term, progress looks messy. In the long run, it looks consistent.
It does. If I continue avoiding my main task every day, where will I be? But if I continue taking one small, brave action every day, even imperfectly, where will I be?
That question changes perspective.
Exactly. Because it's not about today only. It's about direction.
And suddenly, today's 1-0-minute effort matters.
Yes. They want evidence quickly. They want proof that they're improving.
I think a lot of ambitious people get discouraged because they expect fast results.
That's when you have to rely on identity instead of emotion.
And when that proof doesn't show up immediately, they lose motivation.
Instead of saying, I'll work when I feel motivated, you say, I'm someone who shows up. Even if it's small, even if it's imperfect.
Explain that.
It is. Identity-based action is quieter, but more stable.
That's subtle but strong.
Yes. It's on the same page as your future self.
So if someone says, I'm trying to learn English, that feels temporary. But if they say, I'm someone who practices English daily, that's different.
It means in agreement, thinking the same way.
That's another phrase I like, on the same page.
I love that image. It makes it feel like teamwork instead of pressure.
So you and your future self are on the same page. You both value consistency over perfection.
Definitely. Because if the goal is long-term growth, then being bad at the beginning is normal. It's expected.
And maybe that reduces the fear of being bad at first.
Yes, you almost welcome it. Of course this is messy. I'm learning.
So instead of hiding from that awkward first attempt, you lean into it.
It does, but courage grows with repetition. Every time you act despite hesitation, your brain learns, oh, we survived.
That takes courage.
Exactly. Once your brain realizes that writing a bad paragraph won't destroy you, it relaxes.
And survival is what the brain cares about most.
Guilt is heavy.
I'm thinking about listeners who might feel this tension very strongly. High ambition, high standards, but also constant guilt.
So maybe instead of guilt, we practice curiosity.
It is. And guilt doesn't create sustainable change. It just drains energy.
Yeah. Why am I resisting this? Not in a harsh way, in a gentle way.
Curiosity?
It is, but it makes the process more human. You're not a machine. You're not supposed to perform perfectly every day.
That's a big emotional shift.
I love that phrase.
And sometimes progress comes out of the blue.
Yes. You struggle for weeks, taking tiny steps, wondering if it matters. And then one day, something clicks. You notice improvement. Confidence grows.
Out of the blue means unexpectedly.
Exactly. That's why focusing on the long run is so important.
But that moment only comes because of all the small, invisible efforts before it.
Maybe this. I don't have to finish. I just have to begin.
So let's bring this back to something practical. If someone listening right now feels hesitant and tempted, what's one sentence they could tell themselves?
Or, I can be imperfect and still move forward.
That's clean.
Because perfection is not the requirement. Participation is.
I like that too.
I think so. Ambition doesn't require you to be fearless. It just requires you to show up consistently.
That might be the core of everything we've talked about.
Even when you're tempted.
Even when you're sleepy.
Yes. Especially then.
Even when you feel impulsive and distracted.
I agree. Once you understand that your brain is trying to protect you, not sabotage you, you can work with it.
So maybe being ambitious but lazy isn't a personality type. Maybe it's just a phase of misunderstanding how the brain works.
You write small success stories.
You shrink the marathon into a small step.
You remove fake busy work.
You promise to start, not finish.
And you practice being a little braver than yesterday.
You manage your energy,
Just 1%?
just 1%.
And instead of asking, why am I so lazy? Ask, what's the smallest action I can take today?
Before we close, I want to invite everyone listening to reflect for a moment. Think about one goal that feels heavy right now.
And when you finish, let yourself feel proud, even if it's small.
Then actually do it. Not perfectly, just honestly.
Growth rarely feels dramatic. It feels ordinary, quiet, repeated.
Especially if it's small.
They do.
And over time, those ordinary days add up.
Use the vocabulary we talked about. Say, I feel tempted to, or I'm trying to figure out, or I want to focus on the long run.
If this conversation resonated with you, we'd love to hear about it. Share your experience. When do you feel hesitant? What tempts you? And what small, brave step are you willing to take this week?
We're all learning together.
Practice the language and the action.
That's enough.
And remember, ambition doesn't have to be loud. It can be quiet and consistent.
Bye, everyone.
We'll see you next time.